Shabbat and develop it over Shabbat, and it started to spoil my Shabbatot because I get very excited about an idea but I can't write it down. And I'm worried I'm going to forget it. So I need books lying everywhere. I was away for Shabbat, so I had to remember everything. And when I got home, straight away put this down. So I hope it comes together. The theme. We are about to receive as a people the first mitzvah that we get as a people, which is Kiddush HaChodesh, which is Rosh Chodesh, which is to sanctify the months. And what I want to relate to here is almost two different years that we have. One is Rosh Hashanah that starts in Tishrei, and one is Rosh Chodesh Nisan, which starts in Nisan. And we count the months according to Nisan. 1, 2, 3 is Nisan is the first month. In fact, Tishrei is the seventh month. There's a lot here to have a look at, but this is where I'm starting. Maybe I might look at you've seen, maybe not. And we could follow this machloket through Shas, because Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yoshua argue in different ways on the same point in various different subjects, even possibly the flood and how to count the months of the flood. But I want to have a look at this particular source. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, it's in the Gemara Rosh Hashanah, Daf Yud Amud Bet Yud Aleph Amud Aleph. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, B'Tishrei Nivra Ha'olam, the world was created in Tishrei. B'Tishrei Noldu Avot, there's a whole list of things that happen in Tishrei. Rabbi Yoshua Omer, B'Nisan Nivra Ha'olam, the world was created in Nisan. B'Nisan Noldu Avot. What I'm interested in at the moment is about creation. So we have what appears to be a clear dispute between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yoshua whether the world was created in Tishrei or in Nisan. Rabbi Eliezer meant Minashe v'Tishrei nivra ha'olam. How can I prove to you that the world was created in Tishrei? Shene'emar vayom Elokim tacheh haaretz deshe eised mazriah zera eitz pri. Ezu chodesh haaretz mosiah d'sha'im. The pasuk says that the ground should bring out grass. In what month does grass begin to emerge? Ve'ilan malei perot. And in what month is a tree full of its fruit? Haveomer zeh Tishrei. Tishrei or roundabouts, right? As you know, from Shivat HaMinim, most of the Shivat HaMinim are going to be harvested towards the end of the summer, not the beginning of the summer. These pictures that bring in Bikurim on Shavuot are a bit misleading because there's not many first fruit that are ready on Shavuot. Maybe today, but not really. Pomegranates, Zeytin is even Hanukkah time. Dates, much later in the summer. Really the only produce of the 7 species that we have in Israel have to come from Israel, are essentially wheat and barley. It's not a very colourful Bikurim procession, and I imagine most Bikurim were brought round about Sukkot time when you can still say the Vidui. Rabbi Yeshua Meminashe b'Nisan nivra ha'olam, and from the same pasuk I'm going to prove that Nisan is when the world was created. Shenemar v'totzi haaretz deshe eised mazriah zera ve'eitz oseh pri ezu chodesh haaretz meleah desha'im ve'ilam oseh perot. I say it's Nisan. And the question here is this a machloket in Metziut? Are they discussing, is this a historical argument? Does Rabbi Yoshua really believe that the world was created in Nisan? And does Rabbi Eliezer really believe that the world was created in Tishrei? If that is the case, we know what the halacha is, because we have Rosh Hashanah in Tishrei. And so we celebrate the beginning of the year in Tishrei, and that's when we have Din, Rosh Hashanah, that's when we have Yom Kippur, and Nisan is a different beginning altogether. Or are we talking about something else? This is a dispute which is really referring to something altogether different. And I have two suggestions. One is using the Netziv's introduction to Shabbat. I thought it was very apt to quote you the Netziv because in less than a week, at least 80 of you are going to stand next Monday, a bit earlier than now, you'll stand by the Netziv. And you'll be able to discuss this with him directly. He might not answer because you'll be by his grave, but you'll be able to at least. I always feel alive in these places, but you'll stand by the Netziv. So I wanted to bring you something that Netziv says, and this is his introduction to Shemot, and you'll see in a moment where suddenly we see Tishrei and Nisan compared and contrasted together. How so? bear with me. You know I finish on time, so don't get scared by the sources, okay? This is the introduction to Sefer Shemot. People call this Shemot. Now, Shemot, you'll notice, isn't Exodus, right? Exodus isn't a translation of Shemot. Shemot means names. Just as Bamidbar is not a translation of numbers. These are translations of the Septuagint. When the Torah was translated, they gave it different names for different reasons. But Shemot is names, but in the Midrash, Kedita Bebereshit Rabba Perek Yoahi or Neget Sefer Shemot. So Vayehi or is Sefer Shemot. V'chein ba'arbe makomot Ramban Sof HaSefer Karu Sefer Agula. And the Ramban calls Sefer Shemot a bit like Rabbeli, though I think the Ramban came before Rabbeli, Galut v'Geula. It's a book of Galut and Geula. That's what Sefer Shemot is. It begins with Galut and finishes with Geula. That we could discuss at a different time. Zulat Rabbeinu Bahag, what I want to discuss is the Baal Halachot Gedolot, because he says, Besof Sifro HaKadosh Yikru Sefer Sheni, that Shemot should be called the second Sefer. Book number 2. Because there are 5 books, and this is the second book, so he calls it book number 2. Sefer Torah is the first book, the Chumash Sheni and Shemot is the second book. The Sefer Kohanim, but then he calls Vayikra, he doesn't call it the third book, he calls it the book of Kohanim. The Chumash Pekudim, he doesn't call Bamidbar the 4th book, he calls it Numbers. Or Mishneh Torah, he doesn't call Dvarim the 5th book, he calls it Mishneh Torah. And that's what it says in the Gemara Sotat Daf Lamed Vav, Lo Kadesh Shechaluktim B'Chomesh HaPekudim, Ela Kadesh Shechaluktim B'Chomesh Sheni. Shemot is called the second book, but only Shemot is called the second book. The other books aren't called 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And what our rabbis have taught us is something very important. They didn't just change the name of this sefer. If they're going to count by numbers, it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but not 1, 2, and then a different name, a different name, and a different name. Or Chumash Shemot, or call it the book of names, or Al-Inyan HaMesuyam Shebo Kamon, or call it Yetziat Mitzrayim, call it Matan Torah, call it what the Ramban calls it. Kamo shekora Sefer Bamidbar, Sefer Pekudim. אלא בא ללמדנו בזה הספר בייחוד הוא שני זה ספר ראשית הבריאה כי הוא חלק שני מזה הספר. He says something very profound. He says this is called the second sefer because we are still in the motions of creation. This is still part of creation. In this book, creation ends. Really interesting. In what way does creation end? You know that Ramban in Parshat Lech Lecha, when the Ramban talks about Ma'aseh Avot Siman Lebanim. And he shows how the actions, the deeds of our fathers were a sign for their children. And after you've learned the basic Ramban, you still ask, well, what does that mean? What does that mean that what Abraham did will then later on happen again in Egypt? What Yosef did will later on happen again? Unless what you want to say is that the entire book of Bereshit is a form of creation. You have the basic creation, Yesh Me'ayin, when you create something from nothing, and you have a creation which is the nurturing of the world. For example, a baby. A child has a baby, a person has a baby. I've said better jokes than that. I don't know why that is so funny. I just said the child has a baby by mistake and that gets a laugh. I make much better jokes and you just stare at me like ghosts. Then never mind. A person has a baby. The baby's nothing. It's a little baby. It can't do anything there. But have you ever seen a calf born? Have you ever worked in a kibbutz, seen a calf born? The calf comes out. You probably saw it on Bambi. But the calf comes out and within a few minutes the calf can walk. Not like a nebuch baby who's sitting in its cot, not moving for 4 months, and maybe you'll get a smile, which is really wind for the first few months. It's not really a smile, but you'll convince yourself it's a smile because they're keeping you awake for long enough that you want to get something back. So the baby doesn't do anything, and they can't even eat. And so you're giving it this formula milk or you're feeding, and then eventually you'll start. There was a big day when I was in England. My nephew was. They were giving solids to the baby for the first time, so they gave him mashed avocado. What a mess. Give a baby avocado, oh my word. Oh my word. If the other can't, oh my word, I have to wear a cape myself. That's funny, I suppose. And that's a melech baby. It doesn't move. A calf is already on its legs, feeling its way around. It's walking within a couple of hours, it's walking. So a baby is created. The process of creation is 9 months in a woman's womb. Then the embryo is born, and you have a baby. That baby develops, but the content of that baby isn't there. The baby isn't even responsible for its actions at that age. Cannot be held, doesn't make choices, isn't thinking. You're not going to expect a 3-year-old to have musar and values. And so, on the one hand, you have creation of a being, a physical creation, but that creation isn't finished until you have the finished product. According to Chazal, by the way, it's bat mitzvah or bar mitzvah. The mitzvah of chinuch finishes at bat mitzvah or bar mitzvah. What you've taught them by now will carry them through. It's very hard to teach them anything after that. You have the early years of their life where certain things are taught to a child, and then you start developing the person with the content. The content comes up, but the content is part of creation, you understand. So when the Baal HaLachot Gedolot says that Sefer Shemot is Sefer Sheni, what does he mean? He means that the world is no world without Torah. There is no world without Torah. So you can create a world, or you could go to one of these shopping centers when they're giving away a car as a prize. Got this beautiful car. I've always wondered if you had a key to the car, whether you could get the car and drive it out. Well, they've removed the engine. The car looks like a great car on the outside because it's there as a symbol. It's there for people to see what the car looks like. I don't know whether it's got an engine, but we all know that without an engine, the car can't move. It can look like the most beautiful Cadillac or Rolls-Royce. It can look whatever it looks like. If you've got an engine, it won't move. So you can have a world that is beautiful. It's beautiful on the outside, but if it has no purpose, it has no meaning, it has no engine, it's no world. So what the Nesiv's about to tell us is, Sefer Rishon is Sefer Bereshit. It's part of the creation of the world. Sefer Sheni is the Torah. Without the Torah, there's no world. There can't be a world without the Torah. There can't be a world without those values that the Torah gives. And therefore with that, and it's not a Torah that can finish in Parshat Yitro, because Parshat Yitro is just the giving of the Torah. Truma to Tzava V'Yakel Pikuda is about establishing the Mishkan. That's establishing permanent Torah. Permanent Torah. Once you understand that, you understand what Chorban is. If Mishkan is permanent, moving, dynamic Torah, Chorban is when we are just occupied with preserving Judaism. We can do that for 2,000 years, trying to preserve Judaism. But we haven't got a Mikdash, we haven't got a Mishkan, we haven't got a Sanhedrin, so we can't dynamically move forward with Judaism. There's so many issues that we can't solve. We don't have the shoulders to solve them, we don't have the permission to solve them. That's what Chorban is. Chorban, there's no Mishkan. Mishkan is Har Sinai. So Sefer Shemot can't finish with Parshat Yitro or Mishpatim, which is Matan Torah. It has to finish when Matan Torah is transitioned into a Mishkan with its permanent, dynamic Torah. But without Torah, there's no creation. That's what the Nesiv is about to say. Follow him through. What purpose of the world? There's so many subjects here that we could discuss. The purpose of the world is that there be a Torah, which is the meaning, and the people that is living that Torah. This didn't happen until we came out of Egypt. We came to Har Sinai. What is going on in these parshas of Va'era and Bo? It's not to do with the liberating of a people. All you need to liberate a people is the firstborn. Kill the firstborn. Pharaoh's child is going to kill. Pharaoh's a firstborn. He's worried he'll let the people out. That's all you need to bring. What are the 9 other plagues about? It's a theological debate between Moshe and Pharaoh. It's a massive theological debate. Moshe comes to Pharaoh and says, God says, let my people go and serve him in the wilderness. And Pharaoh says, who is God? That is it. That is what happens in Shemot, Va'era, and Bo. Who is God? That's the debate that is taking place. Who is God? And the 9 of the 10 plagues are showing who is God. Ani Hashem b'kerev haaretz. It's not just God in heaven, I'm God in this world. I'm a God b'kerev haaretz. It's not just a story in Shemot, it's a story in every single person's soul in this room. It's taking place every minute of the day. We have a Pharaoh and we have a Moshe, and this is a battle that is taking place all the time. We are, however long our beards are, however little white our tzitzit are, We're all asking the question, who is God? And we have days when we are like Pharaoh, as stubborn as a donkey. We don't want to know. Things are staring us in the face, and we don't want to know. We don't want to know. And you can't understand Pharaoh, and some people can't understand you. And sometimes I can't understand myself. Things are happening in front of you. You don't react. No. I'm doing my thing. It's bringing you to disaster. I don't care. How many teenagers do that? They walk into disaster like Pharaoh. Walk into disaster. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't smoke this. And they're doing it. People around the world. People's lives are ruined. They've seen it. My childhood hero, Freddie Mercury, he died at 45. What a fool! What a fool! And the most beautiful voice in the world. I heard it. Yishai, I heard it. It was better than Yishai's. It was better than Yishai's. And he threw his life away. And he didn't know what he was doing. Of course he knew what he was doing. He had a Pharaoh. The Pharaoh overtook the Moshe. We have that same Pharaoh. We have that same Pharaoh every day when we make a wrong decision, a stupid decision. That Pharaoh is blocking his mind out. That's what the beginning of Sefer Shemot is about. It's about liberating an idea, not liberating a people. The people had an idea. Avram had the idea. And Yitzchak carried on the idea. And Bnei Yaakov carried on. And then they went into Egypt and they went into slavery. And as all of you know, not those of you going to Poland, when you go to slavery and oppression, it's nothing about ideology and religion. It's about getting a piece of food. That's all. That's the only thing that interests you. I remember once asking, I was very close with Jeremy's father. I asked his father once, what were you busy with in those years of the war? And he told me he didn't have a shower for 5 years. And that didn't bother him at all. He told me the only thing that occupied his mind every single day was where was the next piece of food coming. There's no time for ideology. There's some beautiful stories of Auschwitz and the Warsaw Gate. It's not the majority. The majority of people just trying to live. So when a people goes into oppression for 200 years, they're not talking about Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. They're talking about living till tomorrow. And when God wants to bring those people, as a people out of Egypt, you have to liberate the idea. And that's what Shemot Va'era Bo is. It's liberating the idea. And then we go to Har Sinai, and then we get the trial, and then we build the Mishkan, and then creation is over. Ladies, there cannot be a world based on New York values. There cannot be a world based on furries, and Times Square, and theatres, and rock groups. There can't be a world based on cannabis. You understand? There cannot be a world based on money. It cannot be that the world was created for that. And if the values of the world are about that, the world will become bankrupt and will cease to exist. And the people who will victor are the ideologues. Even when the ideologues are evil because they believe in something. They believe in something that is beyond their bank account. They believe in something. He's not my God who they believe in, but they believe in something. But we have hundreds, millions of people in the West who are good people, but they don't believe in anything. They don't believe in anything. They finished in Bereshit. They had a world that was created. And the world finished in Bereshit with the physical world that was created, but there's no shmot. They don't have a shmot. There's no values, and the values are so messed up, so confused. It's a world of tohu vabohu. But the Sid will say later on, I need to move on to our verse, but he'll say later on, there is a famous piece by Yom HaShishi. And the Gemara says Yom HaShishi means, Hashishi is not the 6th day, it's the 6th day of Sivan. That when God created the world, he said, the world is standing on condition that the Jewish people will accept the Torah on the 6th of Sivan. If you accept it, good. Listen to the words. I will return the world to utter confusion. That's what the Gemara says. It doesn't say that there can't be a world with Torah, without Torah. It says there can be a world without Torah. He said the world will be tohu vabohu. If you ever try to understand what tohu vabohu is, just go out there for a few weeks. Go out there for a few weeks and listen to what good people are liberal, Democrat, liberal. I'm not talking about politics, I'm talking about people who that's their belief, who are looking out for weaker people. They got it all wrong. Their values are just confused. They're not bad people, they're not evil people, they're just confused. The values are subjective values that change any parent in here knows that in the last 20 years, the world's values have changed 4 times. What's right in Israel 4 times in our lifetime. The world has changed its values. So what's the truth? There is no truth. It's what the next generation thinks is truth. So if it's truth now that I can be a bunny rabbit walking through Broadway, I'll be a bunny rabbit. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? You watch too much Disney? You think everyone's Bugs Bunny eating a carrot and having a lot of fun? A bunny rabbit lives in the ground with bottle shit alone. It doesn't live for long. What kind of life do you want to be a bunny rabbit? You want to be a cat? Ladies, you spent 6 months watching the Rother Cats. You want to be a cat? You want to be a cat walking through Rother juice every day waiting for that old lady to give them a bit of food on the steps? That's what you want for your life. You want to be a kid. I don't understand it. Well, woman wants to be a cat? It's just wrong. You understand that Disney took animals and gave them speech? It's the antithesis of Judaism. We're not animals. God gave man speech, not animal speech. Don't ever try and cuddle a teddy bear. It will kill you. It won't start asking for honey and dance looking for Tigger. Bears will kill you. They will maul you to pieces. They're wild. They're animals. They are not cuddly things that jump up and down and sing songs and they have tummy and they walk around. They're not. Winnie is not real. Mickey is not real. I promise you, ladies, that if Mickey Mouse visits any of your derots, for a moment, you won't say, oh, there's Mickey. You'll scream and jump on your chairs, but you won't say, oh, look at Mickey. And there's Minnie with Mickey. You'll say, there are 2 mice here. Oh my God, there are 2 mice. Or what about Roland Rat if he pops in for a day? You'll say, oh, how cute, Roland Rat's here as well. So the first point here, if you take the Netziv says you have a Bereshit world and you have a Shemot world. Take the Netziv, take him back to the Gemara. So what Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua are talking about is the essence of the world, the physical creation of the world. Is Rosh Hashanah in Tishrei? Or is Rosh Hashanah in Nisan? When the Jewish people who are going to bring the Torah to the world were created. You understand? Now you start to understand the machlokes. It's not machlokes in Metzion. No one's arguing that the world was created in Tishrei or created in Nisan. We're arguing about what is the essence of the world. Is the essence of the world the physical creation of the world? Is the essence of the world the spiritual input into that creation? Turn to the page, go to Rav Hirsch. And this Rav Hirsch looks long. I want to tell you it's 3 times longer than this. I spent a lot of time editing Rav Hirsch just to bring you the main points. But the Rav Hirsch is extremely, extremely long, and I hope you see by the end why it's worth looking at this Rav Hirsch. So Rav Hirsch, to my mind, is a modern-day Rambam, in that if the Rambam wrote Moreh Nevuchim, and if part of Moreh Nevuchim was aiming at explaining mitzvot and giving some kind of rationale to understand mitzvot, so Rav Hirsch's main piece of work was Chorev. I don't know whether you touch Chorev when you learn with Otara, but Chorev was the 19 letters that Rav Hirsch wrote before Chorev. He wrote because no one knew who he was, and he needed to put something out there in order that he could get Chorev published. Chorev is genius. Chorev was the first book I ever read, really, in Judaism. It was the only translated edition of anything except for the 5 Megillot, that article I done in Yechezkel, which wasn't so attractive to me. And this book of Chorev was translated by Dayan Grunfeld, Zatzal, and it's the most beautiful translation. I'm not sure whether that's a translation we have upstairs. And I was addicted to this book. It's the first book I ever read in Limud, and it's a wonderful book. But of course, you understand that Rav Hirsch was German, and he wrote and spoke in German. So one of the biggest problems in appreciating Rav Hirsch is the translations of Rav Hirsch. The translations of Rav Hirsch aren't always good. The Polish English translation that we have, there might be a more modern one, but it's not a good translation. It's more confusing than it is understandable. They just put Feldheim brought out recently a new Hebrew translation of Rav Hirsch, which I think is wonderful. This one I just got from the computer, so it's not. But he's the kind of person I would like to have heard in German. Of course, I would need to learn German in order to enjoy it, and that doesn't only know a few words in German. I don't want you to do with Torah. So listen to Rav Hirsch. I put 3 dots in most places where I've taken things out. But what he tries to do is he takes the mitzvah of Kiddush HaChodesh. We're about Rosh Chodesh, we're taking the mitzvah of Kiddush HaChodesh. Come back to this theme, right? Tishrei and Nisan. So one is the Netziv, Tishrei is physical creation, Nisan is the Tochen, it's the content. Okay, now let's have a look. We need to learn Rav Hirsch first. This is spectacular. It is so good. You're not getting anywhere after this. You sit here and you'll say you're doing Kasim, and you just sit here and do this. You just, oh right, what Rav Hirsch? You show you going to this. Okay. So he tries to understand the mitzvah by going through the details of the halakha. Okay. So he says, what is this mitzvah? This first mitzvah that Am Yisrael get, which is Kiddush HaChodesh, okay, which is to sanctify the new moon. Which essentially, this is what we would have done today if we're living in a time of a Mikdash. Eidim would have come, they would have testified to the new moon, and the Beit Din would have decreed the new moon. You want to get an insight to what it's like? That's more or less what the Muslims do. When they get to Ramadan, Ramadan's the name of a month, right? But it's a holy month for them, and when that month begins, when their chief priest or chief, whatever they call him, he declares the new moon. Most religions just copy us, but they still do it. They still do it, and he declares the new moon. They only celebrate when they get the declaration. There's no fixed time for them. Okay, but it's always around Rosh Chodesh, because Ramadan is the name of a month. Okay, have a look at, again, we're joining Rav Hirsch quite a few paragraphs in. Rosh Chodesh is much more important, much greater than some kind of astronomical decision as to when the new moon emerges. Of course, an astronomic account is involved in declaring, however, the dynamic of what's happening in the world, in the sky, isn't what fixes Rosh Chodesh. And we don't celebrate Rosh Chodesh because of that. What does he mean? The minute you look at the ceremony involved in Rosh Chodesh, in declaring Rosh Chodesh, you understand that we are not celebrating nature, a natural phenomena. You understand immediately that man is being involved. Man is being involved with the mitzvah of Kiddush HaKodesh, and without them there cannot be Kiddush HaKodesh. The way that we declare a month, halachically, is through legal means. The din can only take place during the day. Even if you see the moon at night, you have to declare it during the day. Because you can't go to Beit Din during night, because Beit Din doesn't sit at night. You'll know, therefore, the halacha, right? That if you miss Ya'aleh V'Yavo out in the Amida, or Chodesh evening, you don't repeat the Amida, because Kiddush HaKodesh never happens at night. If you miss Ya'aleh V'Yavo out in the Amida, in Shachrit or Mincha, you repeat the Amida, because that's when Kiddush HaKodesh takes place. But if you miss Ya'aleh, that's the halacha, right? If you miss Ya'aleh V'Yavo out in the evening, you don't repeat. You don't have to repeat the Amida. So it's a legal process where we declare the new moon, and it happens in the day. The Beit Din has to be at least 3 people. And as opposed to monetary law, there is no exception. Sometimes in monetary law, 1 person can be an aid, but in sanctifying the new month, it has to be at least 2 people. And a Beit Din of 3. ובעוד שלגבי קביעת מצב ענייני נוהג כלל, עד אחד נאמר בייסורים, הרי כאן כלגבי כל יחסי אישים דרושים 2 עדים. You can't have 1 aid. You have to follow me here, ladies. It might be a big detail, but you'll follow and you'll understand the point he wants to make. But if you don't know the details, you won't understand his rationale. ועל העובדה כי לא התרחשו בצבא השמיים מחוללת את תחילת החודש. So this proves, right, that it's not to do with what's happening in the sky. It's what happens on earth. You know the story with Rabban Gamliel. You know the story when Rabban Gamliel declares Yom Kippur. When it's not Yom Kippur, Rabbi Yoshua is Cholek, and he makes Rabbi Yoshua come, not Yom Kippur, Rosh Chodesh Tishrei, and he makes Rabbi Yoshua come with his stick, carry on what Yom Kippur is according to the Beit Din. When it's clear that Rabbi Yoshua is correct. It's clear that Rabbi Yoshua is correct. Because what happens is someone saw something in the sky, and they thought it was, but the next day the moon disappeared. And so, I think the mashal that he gives to Rabban Gamliel is a woman can't be pregnant one day and not pregnant the next. So there's no new moon. You got it wrong. Rabban Gamliel says, no, the new moon is when I say this, and you will keep my halacha because I'm the Nasi of Beit Din. And everyone in the end tells Rabbi Yeshua that's what he has to do. which means the Beit Din can kovea Rosh Chodesh even when it isn't Rosh Chodesh. Astronomically, it's in the hands of human beings. It's not a matter of just fixing that there's a new moon because we saw it through an eyeglass. The Eidim saw the new moon and they came to the Beit Din, and the Beit Din didn't manage to hit their Eidim in time. Rosh Chodesh is the next day, it's not that day. Because they did do the ceremony, even though scientifically it happened already. So the 30th day won't be Rosh Chodesh, even though everyone saw it. But because the Beit Din didn't declare it, it's not. So Rosh Chodesh is about the declaration of human beings. It's about a legal declaration. It's not about what's going on in the sky. Next paragraph. הוא השאלה מתייחס לזה, אלה מועדי השם מקרי קודש, אשר תקראו אותם במועדם. These will be the Chagim, these will be the Rosh Chodesh that you will declare. You will declare. It won't be declared by Shammai. You will declare. This is phenomenal. Bear with me. לא די בוודאות אובייקטיבית אסטרונומית, אלא דרושה הבחנה סובייקטיבית. There has to be subjective distinction, discerning of a Beit Din. So now understand the pasuk that we're going to have in this week's Parsha. HaChodesh hazeh lachem Rosh Chodeshim. It's your new moon. It's your new moon. As opposed to what? As opposed to Shabbat. We don't fix Shabbat. It doesn't matter whether you like candles or don't like candles. Shabbat will be every 7 days. It's got nothing to do with it. You can decide not to light candles, not to make kiddush, just to stay in bed because you're nauseous, whatever you may be, but the entire will still be Shabbat. It's got nothing to do with you. Shabbat is the 7th day of creation. Rosh Chodesh cannot be without our declaration. It cannot be. And a Chag cannot be without Rosh Chodesh. Moadechem, Chodshechem, Moadechem. It never says Shabbatchem. The pasuk never says Shabbatchem. It's not your Shabbat. Shabbat is God, is the creator, and he will mark his creation by stopping work on that day. But Chodshechem, they're your months, they're your Chagim. Totally different Kedusha. It's a totally different Kedusha. Ha'hitchadshut, Yareh said to Yelachem, you will be mechadesh, you will renew. The renewal is up to you. You see where it's going? The renewal is up to you. This is just phenomenal. When you see that the moon is renewing itself, wake up. Wake up. To accept upon yourself renewal like the moon. Upon yourself renewal like the moon. You will fix the periods of time. You will have a leap year. When the seasons are falling behind. Next year will be a leap year, right? Because Purim is going to be very early, Pesach's going to be very early. Soon Pesach won't be in spring. What happens with Islam? They have Ramadan every year, but the Muslims only go by the years of the month. They never straighten it out with the seasons. So Ramadan at the moment is towards the end of the winter. A few years ago it was in the middle of the summer. Because they use 11 days. They lose 11 days every year. They only go by the moon, and the Christians only go by the sun. They don't really have months, the Christians. They have 365 days. And the Muslims only have months. We have months and days. Come back to that. The Pasuk doesn't say this month will be Rosh Chodeshim. They will be for you. They will be for you, Rosh Chodeshim. It's not something in creation. Shabbat is the 7th day. After 7th day, Shabbat will happen. It's got nothing to do with you. There will be one Jew in the world, and there will still be Shabbat. There can't be Rosh Chodesh without Eidur, without Kriyat HaChodesh. So when we were going into Galut, Hillel created a calendar for years apart. That's how we have a calendar. Because we don't have a Sunday, we don't have a Beit Din, we can't declare the Chodesh otherwise. So Hillel made a calendar. That's what our calendar is based to this day. כי אם קביעת החודשים שלנו, הקהילה כבר העירה על כך רבינו עובד בפירושו להלכות קידוש החודש, נקראו ראש חודשים החגים חודשיכם ומועדיכם. So the month, Rosh Chodesh is called חודשיכם, and the Chag is called מועדיכם. They are your months and your Chagim. You fix them. Pesach is when we fix it. Shavuot is 50 days after Pesach. And that's where 2 days Yom Tov comes from. That's why people should be machmer on 2 days Yom Tov. If they're not living in Israel, they should be machmer on 2 days Yom Tov. Because 2 days Yom Tov reminds us of what it used to be. That we don't know what the date is, and we fix the date. So what is the symbolism here? That we are to renew the month. It's up to us to renew. And if you don't renew, what do? The Kosker Rebbe would say you impersonate yourself for the rest of your life. You don't do anything at all. You live in a mode of repeat. There is nothing new and there's nothing dynamic in your life. Last paragraph now. So now what he does here linguistically, I don't always understand his language, what he does, it's brilliant. What does Shana mean in Hebrew? Not just a year. Shana, Leshanot is to repeat. Just to repeat and to repeat and to repeat. It's fantastic. Ladies, it's so good. The physical, natural way of the world is just to repeat the same phenomena again and again and again. And if you live your life in a way of Shana, you will achieve nothing. You'll just be repeating. A new year won't be a new year. It will be last year repeated into another year. And what is Chodesh? It's so good. Like, look, see? My hair's going in when I get excited. Look at that. Look for the camera. It's incredible. Like, Shana is to repeat. Chodesh is lechadesh, is to renew. They are absolute opposites. They are absolute opposites. Chazar, so Mishorish Shana Chazar is to repeat, like the Shamot is to learn, but learning is repeating and repeating and repeating. That's what the Mishnah is. Having on them, so it's a circle of days which then goes back to the next days and the next days and then you just repeat the year. It's another year and another year. That's what Shana is. The land will reach the same place with the sun a year later, right? It just reached the same place in the galaxy. And the seasons will follow the same pattern. Winter is winter, autumn is autumn, spring is spring, and summer is summer, unless you live in England, and then winter is winter, winter is winter, and winter is winter, and rain is rain. That's the difference, right? When I came back from England, so people asked me, how was it? So I said it was dark and it was wet and damp. And so people said, yeah, it was like that here. I said, no, the sun will come out here tomorrow. The sun will come out tomorrow. In England, it rains once a year from the 1st of January to the 31st of December. And here it rains one day, next day the sun. Different mashma'ul. In a Chodesh, the moon comes back, the moon does return. The months change, they're different months. They're different months. So the Shana is something permanent. I want to take this thing in two ways in a second, okay? You have a mix between renewal and stability. Think about it, like, just think about it for a minute. It's not his main thing, just think about it. The Christian world is only the sun. The Muslim world is only the moon. The Jewish world is the sun and the moon. There is renewal, which is symbolized by the moon. And there is stability, which is by the sun. And that's why we don't only go by the moon, like I said before. If we only follow the moon, you'll find Pesach at Hanukkah time and Hanukkah in Tisha B'Av time. It just won't work. You'll be Hanukkah in the middle of the sun, but the whole much of Hanukkah will fall aside, right? Lighting up the darkness when it's light all day. It doesn't work. So we go by the months, but if the months fall out of tune, we use the sun and we push them back. We have a leap year to put the months in line with the sun. Judaism is a combination of the two, of the sun and the moon. Muslims is only the moon, Christians is only the sun. We are the sun and the moon. Pesach has to be in the Aviv, Sukkot has to be in the autumn. And therefore, if you go by months, it can't be that way. You need the sun, you need the stability. What is the Chodesh? What is the moon? The moon is the Jew. What is the sun? The sun is the Torah. Here you have the most fantastic suggestion of the Jewish way of life. The Chadesh is to renew. But to renew
with the direction of the Torah, which is stable. You have the sun and you have the moon. The sun repeats itself, it gives you stability. The moon, you have to be machadesh. You have to be machadesh. You have to renew. Just go over the page. We have a double world here. Remember the Gemara at the beginning. Was the world created in Tishrei? Or was it created in Nisan? What is more important, the stability or the renewal? So Rabbi Eliezer says the stability is more important. But Tishrei nivra olam. Rabbi Yeshua said, no, the renewal. Without renewal, ladies, you are walking dead. To coin a phrase, you are walking dead. If you do not renew, if you're walking like a days through the year, like a days through the Zman, you're walking dead. There has to be renewal. Rabbi Yeshua said there has to be renewal. Nisan is about renewal. The kiddush that God gives the Jewish people is the essence of you is renewal. You have to get up every morning as if you were never born before. It's a brand new day. Men who go to the mikveh every morning, you come out of the mikveh like a baby comes out of the womb. You come out of the water and you're like reborn every morning. Mama's reborn. You come out of the mikveh, it's a new day. What happened yesterday, what happens today is new. So we have Shnat Tevel, we have the year of the world. Hapotach Tishrei, that happens in Tishrei. That's the 7th month. V'shana Yehudit, but the Jewish month is Nisan. The Jewish month is Nisan. Why? Because that's the Chodesh of redemption. But ladies, let's take it out of the macro. I gave you the title at the beginning. V'nisan nigalu u'v'nisan atidin lehigael. Redemption comes through renewal, but not just as a people. For us as individuals, we redeem ourselves in our lives by renewing. It's up to every single person here to decide that. The Koska Rebbe used to say, I love the Koska Rebbe. The Koska Rebbe used to say, he sent a message to one of these Hasidim, whose Rebbe kept talking about the resuscitating the dead. And the Koska Rebbe said, I'm too busy trying to resuscitate the living. I can't even think about the dead. The people are sitting in front of me and they're half asleep. They're just asleep. Their lives are asleep. They're not living. The Jewish year starts with Geula Mitzrayim. It's not just the Geula of the people. It's a good individual comes through Hitchadshut, renewal. Shtei Hatchalot Efol HaShana. So we have 2 beginnings to our year. V'domeh Shtei Hatchalot Asher Yom Shalom. Shana Achad. So look at the day. He says something phenomenal here. Our day starts with the evening, our Jewish day, and finishes with the evening. Starts in darkness and finishes in darkness. A day in the Mikdash starts in the morning, starts with light and finishes with light. A day of Geula starts with light. So Shana Achad Shitchinata Hastav, the natural year, the Jewish year, from Tishrei, begins with autumn. Autumn is pretty depressing. The leaves are falling off the trees, things are dying. In our country, we don't even have the colours that you have sometimes in America and England, beautiful colours of autumn. You don't get that middle stage, they just fall off. They just fall off the tree at some stage. And even if spring comes, the year ends with autumn. In the natural biological year, as far as Am Yisrael are concerned, starts with autumn, starts with death, and ends with death. But the Jewish year starts with spring and ends with spring. It starts with life and ends with life, because when you're machadesh, you never stop living. As Jewish scholars get older and older, they don't try and dye their hair. I see all these pictures of Paul McCartney. I know how old he is. We all know how old he is. He was 23 in 1960, so he's 80 odd now. Okay, he's 80. We know Paul. We know how old you are. So why are you dyeing your hair and wearing tight jeans? Jewish scholars don't do that. They just get old with grace, and they simply get better, because the life begins with spring and ends with spring, because it's always living, it's always renewal. I don't have to nostalgically look back and pretend that I'm 40 when I'm not. I can pretend I'm 25 when I'm not, but I don't have to pretend I'm 40 when I'm not, because I'm just becoming vintage. I'm vintage Milster. I'm becoming a bit, I'm just renewing and renewing and renewing, and everything is just new and new and new. Everything is renewal. I was in Poland a few months ago. I'm going back again, but I've got so much more stuff to do now. I've got Kovna to do. Wow, Kovna, look at it, I'm shutting down. So much more stuff. You should come again. I couldn't even go to Kots with us. We didn't get, I couldn't, last time I took parents to Kots, they couldn't speak on me. So I really stopped taking parents to Kots. But it's just new, more stuff. I've got to see another thing, another place that I haven't been to before. And it's just renewal. And the renewal gives the excitement. The renewal gives you the renewal gives you life. So if your year starts in Tishrei and ends in Tishrei, it begins with autumn and ends with autumn. But if your year starts in Nisan, it begins with spring and ends with spring. Is the most beautiful season of all. I never appreciated it in England. But in the Gush, wow. After a winter, the spring is the spring is my favorite month. The blossoming and the peirot and the flowers, it's the most fantastic month. So much life. The year begins with life and ends with life. The natural day, as far as we're concerned, starts in the evening by Erev Boker. That's the natural day, that's creation. That's B'tishrei Mivrah HaOlam. But the day in the Mikdash, he says, it goes by days, it starts in the morning. The day of Kedusha starts in the morning. And the next day starts in the morning, it starts with light. Let's go back to the Machloket. And we see something that's critical, and something that as this was coming together, I think we have a lot of siyata b'shma when I'm creating Shiur, certain things just fall into place. But if I was going to speak to you about anything, I kind of heard the last words of Dr. Yocheved, I was standing here, and our biggest enemy in our lives is complacency. The greatest gift we have is routine. But routine breeds complacency. When you're doing the same thing day after day after day, you tend to forget what you're doing. But if you watch people who come here in January, just for a few weeks, and see how excited they get to go to a Shiur for a baby, or to go and hear Rav Victor, or to go and hear Miriam, whoever it may be, and you suddenly realize that you just become complacent. You just don't understand what you're listening to. Because we've set into a routine which is good, and there's no renewal. It has to be renewal. It has to be Hitchachut. We try and help with that Hitchachut by doing different things in different times of the year to give a bit of variety. My wife always says that to me. No month is the same. For the last 5 weeks I've been out of the country. This will be my 4th trip in 2 months. And so she said, I have variety in my life, I have renewal in my life, and that my life is much more exciting because I don't want to go to concerts for holidays. I just don't want to go. Go to the Golan for holiday. I want to go to concerts. Go to work for concerts. Holiday is the Gali and the Golan. The renewal is so critical. So that's what Rabbi Nachman says on the Torah. This is Bread for the Torah 101. Every day, the world begins again, anew. The world is repeating itself, it's recreating itself again and again. Our view of the world is that it's the same world which is just getting older. It's just a world which is growing older and older. And it helps us live our lives, because if we really realize that the world was being created every day, it would shock us, it might destabilize us. But listen carefully if you can, just a few moments. When the world is just a continuation, then you can't get over mistakes. You can't get over problems. The problems carry over, the mistakes carry through, the failures carry on. It just carries on to the next day, and to the next day, and to the next day. And like a balance, it just compounds and compounds until I'm telling you can't deal with it. That's if the world carries on. My Rebbe used to say to me, Rabbi Bersi used to say, Bereshit bara Elokim, God created beginnings. God created beginnings. Chance every day is a new day. I want you to know that I have no idea. I've forgotten myself. Honestly, I've forgotten myself. There are girls in this room who will probably waitlisted to the Parshat, who probably found out that they were accepted to the Parshat on the very last day because we took them off the waitlist. I have no idea who you are, and I want you to know something else. The teachers have no idea. I will never tell a teacher. If the teachers see a student body as a student body class, I never want a student have to carry something on from last year. To have to come here with anything. I tell the teachers bare minimum of anything to do with the student, and sometimes I get in trouble with teachers because of that. I'm not prepared for a student to have to schlep over here what was over there. Forget it. Just forget it. We accepted you, you're here now, now it's new, now it's new. You've got a new page, a new life, something new to do. And no one knows who you are. And no one knows who you are, so you can be someone, you can be who you want to be. Without anyone's preconceptions, anyone's stereotypes of who you are. It's a great gift that any teacher can give to any student, is to not inform people of what has been, because what has been and it's finished. It gives that person a chance to, obviously, safety things you do, but otherwise. So, האמונה בעולם מתחדש לא הפסקה, וכך שעבר לרוב אינו רלוונטי, says Rabbi Nachman. Rabbi Nachman didn't spend his time on top of trucks screaming. Rabbi Nachman was a very profound and very wise person who died at the age of 38 from tuberculosis, was coffin blood for 2 years. And if you learn his Torah, you understand how he used his time. He didn't waste his time. He wasn't a crazy, he had incredible wisdom he has. So it says, ובכך שעבר לרוב אינו רלוונטי, in general, the past, on a basic level, if the past is already to learn for the future, then it's not the past. But the past is the past, it's not relevant. Mother Havaham, it's been. It used to happen every so often, when I was in charge of discipline in the school, that I would tell a girl off, and then for the next 3 weeks, every time she walked past me, she would walk past me like this. And I had to go up to her and say, listen, we spoke about something 3 weeks ago, it's finished. We spoke about it. As far as I'm concerned, when you walked out my room, it's finished, it's over, just move on. I'm not thinking, I haven't got a dartboard at home where I throw pins at your face because one day you broke curfew. I haven't got it, it just doesn't exist. And these girls he hates me, I'm too tired, I'm just too tired. I hate Hamas, that's it. And I hate the Nazis, but that's about it. I don't really have anyone else that I hate. I don't hate students, I love my students. It's a private institution. I don't need to have students here when I love them. I think, oh, wait, I don't love them. I can say that. But it's not about, something happens, and then you move on. Why? Because today's a new day, and you learn from it, and you move on. If you refuse to learn from it, and you bring the past into the future, then it's your problem. You want to sentence yourself to your own death. But from my perspective, it's every day, it's a brand new day. Every day is a brand new day. Hashem לא התנתק מתחושות הכישלון. And then if I failed yesterday, so I can start again tomorrow. I can just start again, it doesn't matter. I can start again tomorrow. Hitchachut. That's what Rabbi Yeshua says. That is the beginning. That is creation, because without hitchachut, without renewal, there cannot be creation. You cannot create anything in your lives if you won't renew. If you're complacent, stuck in the mud, stuck where you are, living on what was. Rabbi Nachman says, what is a criminal called in Hebrew? Avarian. Someone who lives in the past. Someone who lives in the past is a criminal, because the past isn't relevant. It doesn't matter. What matters is today. What matters is today, tomorrow. You never asked a question in Rabbi this year. I want to tell you, I never asked a question in my Rosh Hashiva this year. Never. I was so scared of it. My greatest simcha was that my second son's bar mitzvah. Rav Lichtenstein walked in. He was already with a frame. He gave me a smack on my cheek, and I gave my son a smack on his cheek. I said to my wife, the simcha's over. Now it's finished. Now what's going to top this? Classic mature comment from her mature husband. We can go. This was at the beginning of the simcha. You understand? It's finished. Like what's going to be that? So I never raised my hand around the Shiur. So you can't tomorrow. So tomorrow, then Shiur, raise your hand. So scream. So what? So what? If you're a Victor Shiur, scream back. Scream back. The people who do that will learn, and they will move forward, and they will. That's my biggest regret, is that I didn't ask my Rosh Hashiva enough questions. I was too scared.
To go, follow Krug, I'm putting out again, Krug. Walk around with your computer and drive the rabbis crazy with your questions. I see Krug coming and I'm frightened because I can't answer her question. She's too clever for me. But she'll come out of the year with her SEM book. Right? Because she's asked it. The teachers are there. They want to be asked that much more, and they want to be asked if you can go to the Makolet to get water because there's no water in the Midrashah, because there's a famine in the Midrashah and you need to go back to your room. They get much more interested about that. You've got brilliant teachers, so why don't we do it? Because we're scared. So yesterday he went, right, he screamed at me, you're an idiot, you're an idiot. I said, yeah. So I'm an idiot. To know, be wise. The people who used to drive Rabbi Mital crazy, they're Talmidei Chachamim today. They're Talmidei Chachamim. So if yesterday we want to change it, so I'm not going to do the next one, I just want to finish this one, okay? Tomorrow is another opportunity. I'll tell you what, now is another opportunity. Today is another opportunity. Next Shiur is another. I expect that whole back row to be down here. MTA want to be up there. They want to be at the back of the your time has come to move forward. I can see you because I'm wearing glasses. I take my glasses off, I can't see. Can't see anything at all. And you could be on your phones and I wouldn't know. I've got my glasses on so I can see. Every single Rebbe, that's Rebbe Nachman, that's the hope he gives us, right? You understand in Chassidut, the Chassidut said that Rabbi Elimelech Milizhazk is for Tzaddikim. Sefer Torah is for Beinonim. Rabbi Nachman is for people like me. It's for Rishaim. He says every day you can be mechadesh, you can be new, you can start again. One more paragraph, ladies. I know that we turn into a pumpkin at 6:30. Just one more paragraph. Mitzrayim won't free us. Mitzrayim is border. It keeps us in. It stops us from developing. Ladies, you have a whole life in front of you. You're going to live on autopilot. Just going to do it? We're going to renew. The Mitzrayim keep us in the past. Yetziat Mitzrayim is to break out the boundaries. And then God says at the beginning to the Jewish people, the key to the Jewish people is the ability to renew. And that is our survival. And that's why we're still here. But what's true of the macro, in this case today, the message I want to give is it must be true for every one of us. Routine is phenomenal. But don't fall into the traps of routine, which is complacency, because then you wake up one day and you realize that it's passed you by. And you missed it. We don't want to miss it. We just want to be new. Every day is new. Every day we're reborn. And it's a key to life. Very, very important.